Hey cat lovers! Today I have a special guest and we'll talk about the Burman cat breed. Dr. Alain Lescart is a professor at Point Loma Nazarene University where he teaches literature and French classes. He has published several books on French literature and more recently a book on the legend and history of the Sacred Cat of Burma. Alain has been breeding Burman cats since 1986 and is the official guest of the special show celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Burman cat in Paris in March of 2023, where he will be talking about the history and legend of the Burman cat.
All right, Alain.
Hello,
thank you so much. Hi, thank you so much for being here with us today at the CatCrazy panel. Alain, you were showing me around at the San Diego Cat Show. Thank you again so much. You have a big knowledge of cats, and I know you are a connoisseur and a lover of cats, specifically of the Burman cat, and so that's why we are talking today. And so my first question to you, I have a lot of questions. My first question is, when was the Sacred Cat of Burma discovered, and how did it come into existence? Tell me.
Okay, I try to answer that quickly. Discover is an interesting word you're using here because it's a pure creation, but it came as an enormous mystery. In 1926, the very first cat show is taking place in Paris. It's the first time, so everybody's very excited. And the main lady who is the president of the cat show is also a very famous writer. She's a female writer. She published articles and stories in all the newspaper, and she presents that cat as being a very extraordinary cat that was stolen in a temple in Burma, a sacred temple, and that was imported in secret to France, and now it come to the knowledge of all the French people, right? And we can go back probably to 1921 in the first appearance of that cat. However, this cat also come with an amazing legend that it's taken care by monk in a very secret temple in the North Mountain of Burma. There's 100 monk, 100 cat, and when the monk die, his soul is transferred to the cat. And there's a secret, and they worship a very rare deity. And the legend goes that they were white cat, and because they saved the temple from Thai enemy, the deity give them the gift of blue eyes and a completely white body that looks a little bit like a Siamese. So that's in a brief time the legend, but that's a legend.
Okay, so that is why the breed is called the Sacred Cat.
Cat of Burma, exactly.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so then now tell me, you wrote a book about it.
Yes.
Why and how, and yeah, how did they come about?
So there is a mystery, of course, about this temple. So since more than 100 years, people went to Burma, they never find a temple like that. And more you study the legend, more you discover that doesn't make sense at all. So there was a 100 years old mystery that I say, I'm going to solve that mystery, right? Everybody know that legend is not true, that this cat doesn't come really from Burma, right? But behind everything, there's one lady that was the breeder and is the first one who presented that cat. It's not the lady that I spoke about, which was the president of the cat club. Her name was Madame Marcel Adam. But she got that cat from a lady who was very sophisticated. And as we discover, was extremely mysterious how she got that cat. She said, oh, it came from Vanderbilt, Harold Vanderbilt, the famous American that went on a cruise there and came back with it. And when people begin to study the story, they say, that doesn't make sense. Vanderbilt never went in that direction. So she keeps changing her story all the time, right? So that lady is Juanita Leotardi. That's her name. And nobody know everything about her. So I am a university professor. So I did some research. I said, let me do that. This is my job. I'm a researcher. So I went to the National Library in Paris, and I read all the newspaper from the 1920s, 1930s, trying to find, can I find anything about that lady? And to my stupefaction, I discovered that that lady was first page of all the newspaper for 3 weeks because she was a very famous scammer. And she invents stories, and she pretends she had inherited from an American millionaire connect with the Vanderbilt also here and there, and that she was going to inherit millions of dollars. And on base of the fact that she was going to inherit millions of dollars, she borrowed money. People believe her. And then it was discovered as an enormous scam. That story make no sense, right? And in middle of that story, that creating the enormous story about inventing character that were millionaires, she said, and that lady gave me this cat. And she presented the Sacred Cat of Burma for the first time, who came directly from Burma. So I was able to find, after 6 months of research, that was the lady that created the Burman. And in fact, the Burman was the most expensive cat you can buy before 1940. Imagine paying close to 10,000 of today dollar in the 1920s. So only extremely rich people were able to afford this cat. On the base that he came from Burma, it was stolen. It was an exceptional cat.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow. I was just about to ask, why was it the most expensive cat? I mean, all because of what people said about it.
Yeah, there was only few of them, so they were extremely rare. And you know, right? It's like Louis Vuitton. You pay a lot of money because they're only making 100 bags, right? That's kind of the same story. So yes, in reality, the Burman came from the Siamese line. So I can give you a little story about the Siamese. The Siamese were unknown by European or American before the second part of the 19th century. Because the Siamese is a cat that is originated from Bangkok and from Thailand. And because English and French in competition were colonizing that area, one of the main prominent ambassador of France came, who was also a scholar, came with those cats, and he sent several copies of a Siamese to Paris. And the king of Siam also sent some to Great Britain, and some came to America. The big problem, imagine a cat living his happy life in Bangkok, it's extremely hot, right? And arriving to Paris and London, where it's extremely cold. So most of the Siamese sent to Europe die before 6 months, because they were not at all adapted. So the British say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to breed Siamese with a white, sturdy European cat to make babies that are more resistant. And that's how they create most of the Siamese we have today descend from those cats. So they marry with a strong, and then they only marry between Siamese cats. So it's why we have the Siamese there. So that means they introduce inside the Siamese genetic pool other gene, like a cat who was white in body, maybe also that was carrying gloves. And from time to time, from the Siamese line came a cat with middle hair instead of a short hair, a cat that had gloves, white gloves, which is the Burman, in fact, right?
Yeah.
And the first breeder, so Leonardo pretend invent this legend, say, oh, that's a cat that came from Burma, which is just the next door neighbor of Thailand. So we're keeping the Asian story pretty straight over there. And because she had only one copy, one female, which she called Poupée, it's the first descendant of all the Burman cat today. She'd say, oh, how am I going to be able to have babies? So she say, well, the closest to that is Siamese, but they are not Siamese. So she married them with some Siamese, and the first breeder always want to go back to that first female here and there. The problem is they did a lot of inbreeding, and most of those kittens, after several generations, you cannot breed and rebreed with the mother and the sister, etc. Most of them were very weak and die, right?
Yeah.
In the 1930s, they decided to marry them with Persian line, because in fact, a Burman, it's a cat in the middle between a Siamese very long cat and a very sturdy long cat, which is a Persian. It's really the two most popular cat breed in the first part of the 19th century were number one, Siamese. The first cat show in Paris at 250 cat, 170 Siamese were present there. So
really?
Yes. And the second popular breed was Persian. So the Burman is the kind of conclusion, the mixing between those two breeds. So you have a cat that is extreme, that has the smartness and the affectivity of a Siamese, but not the excess character that follows you like a little dog all the time. And that's how the Burman was created. But it went back almost to zero, because what happened in 1940? Well, the German invade France, the Nazis are there. Nobody who has a cat breeding program can continue. So most of the cat breeding cattery went down. At the end of the world, there's only 4 Burman left, and they have to rebuild again after 1945, the breeding. And they use Siamese and they use Persian to try to recreate and keep the same kind of cat.
Wow. Okay. So that also explains the coloring, right? The characteristics.
Yes.
So it's the long hair of the Persian cat, but the colors of the Siamese, and also the nose is more. It's not like the flat nose.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Something saying the Siamese gene is a recessive gene. Yeah. That main particularity is to decolor completely the main body in white, but keep the color in the warm part of the body, which is the extremities, the ear, the nose, the tail, right? And in addition to that, for the Burman, there are those famous white gloves that to be in a cat show need to be completely symmetrical. And it's almost, that's a very weird factor that nobody can control. You can put 2 perfect cats together and you might have crazy gloves. So it's very hard to calculate. And of course, the Siamese gene came with blue eyes. You will never see a cat that has this pattern and has no blue eyes. It goes together.
Okay.
It's a gene that goes together also. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. We have to have a genetic person here next to us.
Yes.
About this part, right?
Absolutely.
So what kind of color combinations are possible with them?
Absolutely. So the very first Burman were only seal points. So let me explain quickly the color in cat, right? You have what we call dominant color, and if you dilute this color, you have a recessive color, a dilute color. So black for Siamese is called seal. If you add a dilution factor to that, you have a blue. And because they're only in the extremity, we add the word point. So you can have a seal point and a blue point. The very first Burman were only seal. Then after the war, they use a blue Persian to introduce the dilution factor. So we have in the 1960s the appearance of blue point, but it's still the same family, seal and then dilution blue.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, 80s, the British did a lot of work. The British decide to create the chocolate color. And to do that, they use a chocolate Siamese. So now you have another set of color. You have seal, blue, chocolate, but chocolate can be dilute, and the dilution of a chocolate is a lilac. So now we have seal, blue, chocolate, and lilac. At the same time, they try to introduce what we call the red factor. The red, or at that time, I think they call it flame. It's the same thing, which is more orange color. And they use in fact a normal European tortie cat. So a tortie cat is a female that has orange plus whatever other color. So they were able to create an orange one, and the dilution is a cream one. But the orange factor can mix with all the 4 previous color I just mentioned, and it's why they call it tortie. Tortie means they mix. So we can have a seal tortie, a blue tortie, a chocolate tortie, etc., right? A lilac tortie, right? So those were the main color. At the end of the 1980s, somebody decided, and mainly in Germany, they decide to introduce the tabby, like the tiger face, to all those factors. And they use a Persian chinchilla. But unfortunately, they didn't use any Siamese in those lines, meaning the Burman now evolved and looks a little bit more Persian than he used to be, because we're going now in another direction. Every time we try to put a Siamese and a Persian, this time to just save time, because imagine when you create a new color, you have dozen of cats, you don't know what to do with them. You have to place them. So if you're only using one, you have twice less cats. So to go fast, they only use a chinchilla. And from there, we have what we call a lynx point, right? Or a tabby point is exactly the same thing, which you have a M, it looks like tiger face. And all the color I mentioned can be mixed with the color tabby. So suddenly we have a lot of possibilities.
Right.
More recently, in the 1980s and 90s, they decide to create a silver tabby. So it's another color inside the tabby. And that was recognized by most recently, the FIF in Europe recognized that color like 3 years ago. In the United States, only the CFA doesn't recognize this color. We're the only one, but the rest of the world recognize the silver color, right?
Silver, wow.
And more recently, in the year 2000, a new color has been introduced, but it's not recognized at this day by many cat associations. It's the color cinnamon, which is a more red chocolate color, and the dilution is a fawn, but you only see a few of them because that's a new color. So this is to answer to your question, What are the colors? Here you go.
All the colors.
I gave you all of them on the plate. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, two more questions.
Yes.
One is personality. What do they do? Do they
Oh
sit
my
all
God.
day? Do they want to play? What is
Okay. Thing about a dog, cat. They follow you everywhere. They're extremely affectuous. They need attention. They think they are human. Think about 100 years they've been bred by only humans. They think they are human, right?
Of course.
They're playful. Every cat have what I call the 20 minutes of pure craziness. Like it's like CatCrazy, perfect, right?
Yeah.
So on the morning for 20 minutes, it's like they are possessed by a demon, like all that, and they run crazy for 20 minutes. Same thing on the evening. It's like they have to burn their energy. But most of the cats, they are not. They sleep a lot of here and there, so they are not excessively, running everywhere here and there, and they can live inside, right? They're more inside that. Now, if you let them go outside, yes, they're gonna like it, right? So it's always how you breed them here and there, right? But they have a wonderful personality. I used to breed. I had for a while some Persian. A Persian is very. I love Persian, but they're very stubborn. You say something on a Persian, he's gonna look at you for 1 week. He's gonna hide. A Burman forget everything after 20 minutes. So very good personality, right? They are so sweet, and they love you, and you see that with their eye. They look you like you are a goddess or god, right? Yes. They're wonderful. Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome. Last question,
Yes.
because I know people will ask me, the Sacred Cat of Burma has nothing to do with the Burmese cat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
However, and the Burmese is really from Burma, while the Sacred Cat of Burma is not from Burma. The Burmese was discovered in the 1930s by an American doctor who went to Burma and came back with a Burmese in California, if I'm not mistaken, at least on the West Coast, and begin to breed them using Siamese here and there. But when you look at the Burmese, it's a very small cat. By the way, my friend has a Burmese. I love that. The Burmese are wonderful also. But they don't look, they have no connection between the two.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, Alain, that was awesome.
Thank you, yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was great. Anything else you want to add? What is your next step? Do you want to do another book? Is there anything else you want to do?
Yes. So first, if you're interested, you need to get my book, The Extraordinary Adventure of Sacred Cat of Burma.
I'm going to put a link below in the...
Okay, excellent. Because I'm a literature professor, I'm very interested between the connection of poets and cats, which began in the 19th and 20th century. So I'm writing more in the French context, but I'm writing about the connection with poets and cats. That will be my next book, Cats and Poets. So
I love it. Awesome. Thank you. Good luck with that, Alain. Thank you for the interview, and I'll talk to you very soon. And to all you guys, Alain helped me a lot with the San Diego Cat Show, and that episode will come up soon too. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Right.
All right. Okay.
Bye, Luna.
That's all for today, my wonderful cat crazy crowd. Thanks for hanging out with my cats and me today. Please subscribe, hit like, and comment and share. And if you want to help out our channel, then become a member of Patreon or pick up some amazing cat crazy merchandise like these shoes here on my website. Until next time, stay cat crazy, and don't forget, cats rule, and so do you.